Geology, the study of Earth and how it's changed over time. In this sector of science, we might find some things that belong to our ancestors, or even things in general that help us explain the world we live in. Like many other things, there are several things that need to be known before we learn more.
First is radiometric dating, a method used on rocks and other objects based on the radioactive decay. In more detail, this works because radioactive elements are unstable and are always trying to move to a more stable state. When doing so, they give off radiation. When it loses energy by releasing radiation, is called radioactive decay. We also count the number of parent and daughter isotopes and half-lives. That halfway to the element's death, and counting that, we find out how old an element is.
An example of this is several of the elements on the left side. At their half-life, the arrow, they turn into a half of their original element and half of another. Judging on how original the element is, we can learn how old the element is. While on the topic of elements, an isotope is also very important. This is a variation of an element. It's the exact same element, just with slightly different properties. In this picture, you see a carbon-13 and 12. Both are the same element, just different isotopes. And in the same way cells can reproduce, isotopes can do the same. A parent isotope is a radioactive form of an element that goes through change to create daughter isotopes. The daughter isotopes can grow and create more daughter isotopes. As you can see, the ratio of daughter isotopes to parent isotopes are equal.
Now that you know more, there are three main assumptions. First is that everything was perfect and in the right conditions. Due to this assumption, the radiometric dating, we have gotten some false years. For example, a rock formed at Mount St. Helens in 1986 made a radiometric age of 350,000.
Next is that we assume that there has been no contamination to the rocks. They assume that because we don't know how many rocks have been contaminated. This has been shown to be false due to the fact that the lava flow at Mount Nagaho has been shown to be less than 50 years old, came out with three different ages: 133 million years, 197 million years, and 3,908 billion years.
Lastly is that the decay rate occurs at a constant pace. This was proven false, as scientists found this out by seeing seasonal changes with decay rates. Now, scientists think that something in the sun controls the rate. If that's true, carbon dating needs to have some adjustments.
Carbon dating works like so. Cosmic rays enter the Earth's atmosphere in large numbers each day. Every hour, we are hit by close to 500,000 cosmic rays. As it is not uncommon for a cosmic ray to collide with an atom in the atmosphere, it creates a secondary cosmic ray in the form of an energetic neutron. When these collide with a nitrogen atom, a nitrogen-14 turns into a carbon-14 and a hydrogen atom. This is radioactive and has a half-life of about 5,700 years. Plants take this in, and when we breathe and eat, we also take this in. When we die, the carbon is no longer absorbed and it gradually decays. The ratio of the remaining carbon-14 to carbon-12 is what is used to calculate the age. Carbon-14 has 6 protons and 6 neutrons. On the other hand, carbon-12 has 6 protons and 6 neutrons.
When the thing dies, it contains 100% of carbon-14. At its half-life, 5,730, 50%, after 11,460 years, there's 25% left. At 17,190 years, 12.5%, and so on and so forth. The only problem with this process is that when touched by the bare hand, the atom might become younger than it really is. Along with the fact that it's better in larger samples, this is still one of the most reliable dating systems. As like everything else, this process has a parent and daughter element. Carbon-14 is considered the parent element, carbon-12 is the daughter element. As the less carbon-14 there is, the more carbon-12 there is.
Branch. When it's been buried for 5,730 years, it's at 50% or its half-life, and so on. The carbon-14 is being taken out of the branch, affecting to the decay and years. These are only two of many different dating methods, and now that you know, you can show others.